Esteemed colleagues, esteemed journalists, the UCMC is starting its work. The topic of our briefing is presenting the project See Ukraine Docudays UA travels around the world. Our guests are Yuliya Serdyukova, project manager of See Ukraine, Nadiya Chushak, coordinator of the human rights program Docudays, Vladimir Yermolenko, Internews Ukraine, Dmitry Shulga, the director of European Program of Initiatives of Renaissance Foundation. Maybe later, Maria Dumac, the coordinator of Let My People Go project, will join us. Good morning. I would like to greet everyone who is here. We are here with good news. I'm Yuliya Serdyukova. I am the coordinator of the project See Ukraine. Docudays UA travels around the world. That's the international project which has international title See Ukraine Docudays UA on tour. First of all, I would like to suggest you to see our promo.
Тридцатисемилетний режиссер артхаусного кино и отец твоих детей.
So, See Ukraine Docudays UA on tour. This project will show Ukrainian documentary films and photographs in Europe and 5 countries: France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Greece. Besides that, there is an important component which is, besides showing films and photographs, there will be meetings with the authors of the film, with photographers, with producers, with directors, and this will be to discuss what has been shown on the screen. Besides the films and the photographs, we will organize discussions between the shows with the participation of authors of films and photographs, and also civil society activists, writers, journalists who will be telling about the events shown in the film and about the events of the contemporary life in Ukraine. This project is launched this week. We start in France, and it will be inaugurated on the 21st of January. It will last for a month in France. During the month, we will demonstrate 5 films in France, 1 photograph show, and there will be 2 discussions. I will talk briefly about French program. The Euromaidan, the draft is opening this show. This is the chronology, which includes 10 brief novels created by young documentary filmmakers, and that is probably the most balanced film about Maidan, about Ukrainian revolution, which represents the view of young directors. This film for the last for the 2 years has been shown at about 20 festivals all around the world. And there were many interesting discussions held about what was happening in Ukraine and what is happening and where Ukraine is moving now. Besides that, there will be two films of Sergei Bukovsky, his debut film. Tomorrow there will be a festival, and his very famous work, Ukraine, the point of the countdown point, which shows the history of Ukraine from times of independence till now. Also, there will be a film of Alexander Balagura, who received the prize in Marseille in France, Живаватра, which is the film by Kostyuk, who is the prize winner of one of the biggest festivals, Hot Dogs. And in the end, there will be a black-white mute film, The Bivetro. This will be accompanied by live music. Also in Paris, there will be an exhibition of Alexander Gledielov, the classic of Ukrainian documentary photograph, which is titled Juhia, My Brother. It talks about two parts of contemporary history of Ukraine, about Maidan and war, that's classical black and white photograph, and this is on the way to Paris. Besides that, there will be two discussions held in Paris. The first one is where Ukraine moves after Maidan, and the second one, Prisoners of the Kremlin, which is dedicated to the case of Oleg Sentsov and other Ukrainians who are imprisoned in Russia. More about that program my colleagues will tell you. I will just add every time the program of films, of exhibitions and discussions we create together with our partners in the countries where these events take place, depending on what is more interesting for the audience there. And we were creating our Paris program together with our partner, the Arts Association, Day and Night of Culture. And this is organized with the support of Renaissance Foundation and Open Society Foundation. Now I would like to give the floor to Dmitro Shulga, the director of International Initiative of Renaissance Foundation.
Thank you, Yulia. Dear colleagues, I'm happy to be present here today at the presentation. I manage the European program of the Renaissance Foundation, which is was founded by George Soros. We support this project because we believe it will strengthen Ukrainian voice in European countries, in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and Greece. And in some of them, they know much about Ukraine and have a lot of discussions about Ukraine. But in some of them, they do not know much about Ukraine. In particular, for Greece, for example, Ukraine is better known in cultural aspects than in political aspects. At least we are not satisfied with the level of awareness. I believe that this type of diplomacy could not be overestimated, because without understanding the country, we won't be supported by our partners. We wish our motives be better understood in Europe and our events be better understood in Europe, that European citizens would be ready to accept Ukraine as a member of their family. Now I'd like to give the floor to Valdemar Yermolenko, who is an essayist and writer. He will be the participant of first discussion in Paris. Where does Ukraine go after Maidan? He cooperates much with European press, in particular with the French media. Thank you, Yuliya. First of all, I would like to mention that it is extremely important that we plan to present documentaries, because documentaries are the best response to the Russian propaganda, because the Russian propaganda for me looks like the voice behind the a picture which says, we will construct everything and explain to you everything. In Europe, I believe this approach is counterproductive. In Europe, you should say truth, and should say the truth. How do you see it? This is the most honest approach, and people will see that you are honest, and there are more chances they will believe you. In our documentaries, we allowed the participants of the events to speak, and thus we showed people with their motivation instead of the picture and explanation aimed at propaganda. Speaking about Maidan and the war is not enough. We should speak about our peaceful life and efforts, because Maidan more and more is becoming the past for Europe. If we come to Europe with the message that we had Maidan, it's not interesting for them anymore. And if we continue to say that we have the war, again, they are not interested to hear the same thing all the time. We should describe what changes were the result of Maidan. Maybe they are not that big that we wanted to see, but there are changes, and we should present them to our European members. Now I'd like to give the floor to Nadiya Chushak, who is the member of our Docudays team, and she will describe our human rights program.
Good afternoon, good morning. I would like to tell you in more detail why we are not limited during our events by just showing documentaries. As Vladimir said, documentaries, they very convincingly relay some messages to people, and that is why our festival was founded, to show some difficult histories, stories related to human rights in Ukraine, to make our people aware of human rights. And the many years experience of functioning of our festival demonstrated that demonstration of films, especially if it is accompanied by discussions, can relay to people this very important information. During more than 10 years of functioning of our festival in Kiev and in regions, we are sure that discussion of the films and of the problems shown in the films stimulate the interest of the viewers to these problems. To watch the movie or film is one thing, but then to discuss the problems that were mentioned in the film is different, and that is why we decided that we will add this format of discussions to the film demonstrations, and we are planning to have two discussions in France. First is where Ukraine is moving towards after Euromaidan, and that will be related to the issues that Vladimir mentioned. What happened in Ukraine after Euromaidan, how should we understand these events? It is important to explain these thoughts of very good Ukrainian and international specialists to such country as France, where the views are traditionally Russian, and that is why it is important to discuss the significance of Euromaidan, not just for our country, but for the whole of Europe. It is important to put this event into a wider context of global history. And one more thing that will be happening will be less philosophic, and it will be more about more specific human rights issues, and that's the discussion, the prisoners of the Kremlin. We want to attract the attention of international community to the fact that 21 citizens of Ukraine are illegally detained in Moscow, and they are kept in prison in Moscow. International community do not understand the real scale of that problem. They know about celebrity case of Alexei, our wonderful film director, but besides Sentsov, there are many other prisoners, and there is the need to start acting so that Russia liberates these people, and the pressure of the international community could be one more additional facts which we hope may affect the position of Russia in this issue. And in this discussion, during this discussion, first of all, we will demonstrate part of the draft film about Oleg Sentsov process, which was made by Russian documentalist Oleg Sakurov, and also Maria Tomak from Let My People Go program will talk in more detail about the conditions of detention of these political prisoners. And Stefania Kalaeva, human rights expert, works now in Belgium, and she's fighting against discrimination of Russian citizens. So we do hope that people, just common people, after seeing our films, would like to go to join this discussion and will be more actively involved into exercising pressure on their government, and their government will exercise pressure on Russian government. So we hope that the documentary film will be not just the event to spend the night and enjoy it, but it will be very important for human rights movement. Thank you for this presentation. Now, if you have any questions, please raise your hands.
While you're thinking, I have the first question from UCMC. You said much about Paris. Would you please repeat once again the dates and the dates of events in Paris, and then the countries where it will travel later? So after Paris, it will go to Spain, Italy, Germany, and Greece, and this voyage will last till August this year. More exact days will appear later on our website, Docudays UA. Yamats Maria, UCMC. have you invited the French intellectuals to participate in the discussions? I mean, in advance to ensure that they will arrive. We have invited our colleague who have been residing in Paris permanently. She will make a special presentation about violations of human rights in the east of Ukraine. This report was produced recently jointly with Ukrainian human rights organizations and presented to the European Court of Human Rights. Also, we invited Irina Dmitryshin. This is Ukrainian who has been working in Paris. She's a writer, translator. The second discussion will be moderated by Yuliya Serdyukova, who also lives in France. And we invited the French to be our guests. For the questions, please raise your hands. Since there are no further questions, we are very grateful to you for the presentation and wish you all possible success. Thank you.